Well, historic moment today on Capitol Hill. Many moments, actually. Republican members speaking up and saying enough is enough. And although CNN and other left-wing media are celebrating the division, as they're calling it, it's a necessary moment, folks. The establishment GOP must come to terms that the party has changed. It's no longer the party of Cheney and Romney or Boehner and Paul Ryan. It's an America First agenda, whether they like it or not. And however it plays out, there's one thing for certain. If the Republican Party wants to survive, they need to embrace the change, not fight it. Now, here to weigh in on everything that has been going on, Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar and New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Thank you, Representatives, both for being here. You heard the setup a little bit, and I'm out there saying, look, I like the disruption of the Trump. I like that to continue. It feels to me like Kevin McCarthy is a step back towards the swamp, going in the wrong direction. Maria Salazar, representative from Florida, tell me why I'm wrong. And by the way, I'm willing to be swayed, so go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. I think that we are playing with fire. And even though I agree with what you're saying, this is a vibrant economy and I mean, I'm sure a vibrant democracy or democratic process, we should know when we need to stop and get back to business. Why? Because the American people put us, the Republicans, in power. And we need to start dealing with people's business, sealing the border, not having inflation, not spending so much, stopping fentanyl. So if we continue doing what we're doing, we're going to be now in the fourth round. We're going to be sending the message that the other side, like you were saying, CNN is making fun of us, that the other side, the socialists, remember that 60% of the youth in this country believes that socialism is pretty good. So what we're doing right now, 2% of the conference is sending the message that we cannot get it together, and then we are playing into their hands. And for me, for my District 27, the ultimate melting pot, political refugees, we know that socialism is not the answer, and we are just we're giving them more fuel. All right. So that's why.
Okay. Congresswoman Salazar, you didn't sway me yet. Let's try Claudia Tenney from New York. Congresswoman, why don't you try and sway me to the Kevin McCarthy vote, because I'm having a hard time getting there.
Look, I agree with my colleague. Right now, we have a constitutional republic. It's self-governing. It's that versus socialism. This isn't so terrible that we're hashing this out. I wish we had hashed it out before, because Festivus is over. We aired our grievances. We should have come up with a solution. We haven't done that yet. But we still have time. We adjourned today. We're going back to tomorrow. So we're in no man's land. We don't have a speaker. We can't hold the Biden administration accountable right now. We can't subpoena anyone. We can't hold anyone accountable. And I understand, and I get that Kevin McCarthy may not be the perfect answer and speaker, but we've never had a perfect speaker. And right now we need to start leading. We need to stick together. And like it or not, Nancy Pelosi got a very rogue group of Democrats always to stick together every time. So we don't want her model, because not only did she assume power, she abused power every chance she could. So the fact that we're actually having a good, honest debate about this, let CNN laugh, let the Democrats go on. And to my colleague's point, on the floor of the House today, one of the Democrats got up and actually endorsed and nominated Hakeem Jeffries and said he's from the People's Republic of Brooklyn. Okay, Brooklyn's in New York State. We are not a communist country, but we're heading that way. And if we don't get our act together, and I think a lot of this should be done behind closed doors. I hope we have some meetings today and tomorrow and figure out how we're going to come up to a consensus. And this being said also, Eric, which is really important, Kevin McCarthy has given the Freedom Caucus, who are mostly the people that are objecting right now, an historic number of concessions, new rules, good rules. In many cases, we agree with most of the new rules that are going to actually set the stage for a new kind of Republican conference, not like what we've seen in the past. A lot of empowerment of our members, a lot of empowerment of our constitutional principles. So there is a step in the right direction. So it's not more of the same. We have a new and improved rules package. Right. If we get a speaker, that rules package will come into place.
But not only that, let me just interrupt you. 2 years ago,
Congresswoman, please allow me.
2 years ago, the only guy who raised their hand. All right.
So here's I'll set the stage and you guys take it again. I just want to point something out, guys, that the American people elected these 20. It went from 19 holdouts from McCarthy to 19 to 20. The American people elect these people likely because they like the fact that they push back on status quo. McCarthy's status quo. Listen, I love you, but I will tell you the perception from my side is McCarthy's status quo. When you got Karl Rove backing Kevin McCarthy, when you have Ronna McDaniel Romney backing Kevin McCarthy, these are status quo.
So President Trump, Jim Jordan.
I don't think that you are seeing
Jim Jordan backing Kevin McCarthy.
Give me a minute. I don't think that you are seeing this with the right angle. Let me just explain to you why. And it's not that I am his best friend. But 2 years ago, he raised his hand and said, hey, I want to be speaker, right? And he put together working committees. And he put together something called the Commitment to America. And he traveled the country. And he raised funds. And he said, hey, I really want to be speaker. And he dedicated his time, energy, and effort to bring us into the majority. So I think he earned it. I'm not saying that the other 17 who are voting for Jim Jordan, whom we respect because they're our friends, 20 of them, they should have done that, 3 years ago and say, hey, I really want to be speaker too. So let me run the country, let me raise some funds, and let me explain to the American people what is it that we're going to do for them. And then they would have some type of credibility to do what they're doing. I'm not saying that this is the best country on earth, and you know that I always say the same thing. Let's hope that Nicaragua and Cuba and Venezuela would have what was happening right now.
Can I answer that, Eric?
But you know, not Eric, in this way.
Eric, you said 20 people elected those people to push back. I've always have to stand up, but 202 other members who have supported Kevin McCarthy also come from constituencies around the country. I've had $47 million spent against me in my campaigns for Congress so far. So I know what it's like to be in a swing district. I have a little bit more of a Republican district now. It is a very, very difficult task. One of our colleagues, Mark Green, who is a West Point graduate, built a multi-billion-dollar company, said, I've never seen anything harder than trying to govern over a majority where we have 70-30 districts and districts won by President Biden. So this is a very, very hard thing to cobble this together and have it work.
But Nancy did not have those problems because she had different methods that we're not using.
Okay, but hear me out. I adore what you guys are doing. You two are doing amazing jobs. I love everything you are doing in Florida and in New York. You're fantastic. You're representing the right people, the right constituency, and you're doing it the right way. Here's my issue, and I give about 30 seconds each. Hold on. Wait. Time out. Congresswoman, time out. Just let me ask this question. I know exactly what Jim Jordan stands for. I know exactly what his policies are, where he's going, what he would do as a speaker. I have no idea about Kevin McCarthy. How can you get me to back someone where I don't know where the man stands? I'll start with you, Claudia Tenney, and then go to Elvira Salazar.
Here's your. Oh, okay. I was going to say
commitment to America. I think that you're saying.
Let me tell you something about.
Listen. Look at the real enemy. The real enemy is the socialists on the other side. For us, I go back to 27. I come from Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua. I love the American exceptionality. I love what's happening because it's the vibrancy of the democracy. But it comes to a point where people out there having 2 jobs and having to pay for this kids' uniforms.
We don't disagree on that,
Republicans
Maria.
are really not doing
let's be honest. We all.
Good, I'm glad.
It's an easy way.
Eric,
Claudia Tenney, please let
here's
final
the
word.
thing. I love Jim Jordan.
I do too.
Love Jim Jordan. I think he's terrific. He has said he does not want to be the speaker. He got up and nominated Kevin McCarthy for the floor and has voted for him for every vote that's come across. I would love to see who's out there that has the votes, that can put us together, that can raise the money. And I think the one thing that I would say that I would criticize Kevin McCarthy for that's really personal to me is election integrity. We as Republicans need to win. The Democrats win on process. They win by vote harvesting, early vote. If we don't start getting aggressive and taking advantage of that right now, our base, everyone, we're not going to win again. And we have a 5-vote majority to make sure that we keep this country from going down the tubes.
That's correct. The American exceptionality needs to live somehow.
I love this. You know what? Can we do this tomorrow? Because there are going to be more votes tomorrow. You're starting at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
Hey,
I have a hunch that we may be back here at the same time.
Florida and New York put the majority.
Yes, Florida and New York. We're going to bring you back tomorrow, because you guys are fantastic.
This hot-blooded Cuban.
Well, I just want to say that Florida and New York put this country into the majority, the Republican Party into the majority.
Maria Salazar and Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, thank you both for joining us.